The galaxy had known peace for 3,000 years. Every species remembered it. Every history book celebrated it. The Galactic Council had maintained order across 10,000 star systems, and humanity had been the quietest member of them all. They attended meetings. They traded goods. They smiled at their alien neighbors and never raised their voices. The other species often joked about humans. They called them the peaceful ones, the soft ones, the species that had forgotten how to fight. Commander of the Empire stood on the bridge of his warship, looking down at the blue planet called Earth. His scales shimmered under the artificial lights as he watched the humans spin slowly in the darkness of space. Behind him, a fleet of 5,000 warships waited for his command. They had grown tired of sharing resources. They had grown tired of negotiations. They wanted what the humans had, and they believed taking it would be easy. "Send the message," ordered. His communications officer nodded and opened a channel to every human colony in the galaxy. The message was simple. The Empire declared war on humanity. They demanded complete surrender within one standard day. If humans refused, every human world would burn. Expected panic. He expected desperate calls for mercy. He expected humans to beg the Galactic Council for protection. Instead, he received something that confused him deeply. The human ambassador appeared on his screen. She was an older woman with gray hair and calm eyes. She looked at without any fear on her face. Then she smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was cold, like the space between stars. "Commander," she said, "the people of Earth accept your declaration of war. We will not surrender. We will respond." The transmission ended. His officers laughed with him. What could humans possibly do? They had no visible military. Their ships were cargo vessels and passenger transports. They had no weapons that any scanner could detect. They had studied humanity for centuries. Humans were harmless. The first sign that something was wrong came 6 hours later. A patrol fleet of 50 warships was traveling through the Nexus system when they simply vanished. There was no distress signal. There were no explosions on sensors. One moment, 50 warships existed. The next moment, they were gone. Only silence remained. Dismissed it as a technical error. Perhaps a wormhole had opened unexpectedly. Perhaps their sensors had malfunctioned. But then reports started coming from across the Empire. Ships were disappearing everywhere. Outposts stopped responding. Supply lines went dark. And through it all, there was no sign of any human fleet. On the Galactic Council station, representatives from 100 species watched the situation with growing unease. Ambassador of the collective approached the human ambassador during a recess. "What is happening?" I asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Where is your military? What are you doing to the—" The human ambassador sipped her coffee calmly. "We are responding," she said simply. "The wanted war, we are giving them war." I felt a chill run through his body. He had known humans for centuries. They had always been kind and gentle and cooperative. But something in the ambassador's eyes made him realize that he had never truly known them at all. "How?" he asked. "You have no weapons, you have no warships. We have monitored your species for 3,000 years. The ambassador set down her coffee cup. She looked at it with an expression that was almost sad. 3,000 years ago," she said quietly, "humanity learned an important lesson. We learned that the galaxy feared us. We were too aggressive, too violent, too dangerous. So we decided to change how others saw us. We put away our weapons. We smiled and traded and made friends. We became the peaceful species that everyone could trust." She paused. "But we never stopped preparing. We never stopped developing. We simply did it where no one could see." A's hearts beat faster. "What did you develop?" The ambassador smiled that cold smile again. "Everything." Back in orbit around Earth, Commander was starting to feel genuine fear. His fleet of 5,000 ships had been reduced to 4,000, then 3,000, then 2,000. Ships vanished without warning. Crews reported seeing nothing before their communications cut off. The darkness of space seemed to be swallowing his forces whole. "Show me what is attacking us," screamed at his sensor operators. "There is nothing on sensors, Commander," they replied helplessly. "There is nothing there." But there was something there. The humans had simply built things that sensors could not detect. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, Admiral Way sat in a command center that officially did not exist. The walls were covered with holographic displays showing the position of every ship in the galaxy. Beside her, officers coordinated the movements of a fleet that no alien species knew about. 3,000 years ago, humanity had hidden its true military. They had buried shipyards in asteroid fields. They had built factories inside gas giants. They had developed technology that made their vessels invisible to every form of detection the galaxy possessed. And they had waited. They had waited because they hoped they would never need to fight again. They had waited because peace was precious and valuable. But humanity had always known that one day, someone would make a terrible mistake. Someone would look at their peaceful civilization and see weakness instead of choice. They had made that mistake. Admiral gave another order, and across the galaxy, human ships emerged from hiding. They were not the cargo vessels and passenger transports that aliens expected. They were weapons of pure destruction, designed by 3,000 years of secret development. Their engines warped space itself. Their weapons could crack planets. Their shields could withstand anything the galaxy had ever seen. And they were everywhere. Watched in horror as ships appeared around his fleet from nowhere. They materialized like ghosts, surrounding his remaining vessels completely. He counted them quickly. 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 human warships, all pointing their weapons at his position. For the first time in his life, understood what prey felt when it realized it was surrounded by predators. A communication request appeared on his screen. He accepted it with trembling claws. Admiral Way looked at him calmly from the display. She was an elderly woman with white hair and steady hands. Her uniform was simple and practical. Her eyes held no hatred, but they held no mercy either. "Commander," she said, "your fleet is surrounded. Your empire's military capability has been reduced by 93% in the last 12 hours. We have not yet attacked any civilian population. We have not yet harmed any non-combatant. We can end this war in 2 ways." His throat was dry. "What are the 2 ways?" "The first way is surrender," Admiral said. "You will withdraw from all positions. You will pay reparations for this unprovoked attack. You will sign binding agreements to never threaten human space again. Your species will survive and rebuild." Swallowed hard. "And the second way?" Admiral's expression did not change. "The second way is that we stop being gentle." The silence that followed was heavy. Every officer on the bridge understood what that meant. If this was humanity being gentle, then humanity being serious was something they could not imagine. The Galactic Council received the news 1 day later. The Empire had surrendered unconditionally. Their entire remaining fleet was being escorted back to their home territory by human ships. There had been minimal casualties. No planets had been bombed. No civilian populations had been harmed. But every species in the galaxy now understood something they had forgotten over 3,000 years of peace. Humanity had never become peaceful because they were weak. Humanity had become peaceful because they were so strong that they could afford to be kind. Ambassador requested a private meeting with the human ambassador after the crisis ended. They sat in a quiet room overlooking the stars. "All these years," said slowly, "you could have dominated the galaxy. You had the power. Why did you never use it?" The human ambassador considered the question carefully. "Because power without wisdom is just destruction," she said. 3,000 years ago, we were angry and violent and dangerous. We conquered and destroyed because we could. But we looked at ourselves and did not like what we saw, so we changed. We chose peace. We chose cooperation. We chose to be neighbors instead of conquerors. She looked out at the stars. We built our hidden fleet not to attack others, but to ensure that if anyone ever threatened the peace we valued so much, we could stop them quickly and completely. We hoped we would never use it. We hoped the galaxy would remain peaceful forever. Her eyes became distant. The forced us to reveal what we had kept hidden. Now every species knows what humanity truly is. I do not know if that is good or bad, but I hope that this demonstration convinces others that attacking us is a mistake they should never make. A nodded slowly. He thought about all the times he had underestimated humans, all the times he had laughed at their peaceful nature, all the times he had thought they were simple and harmless. "What will you do now?" he asked. The ambassador smiled, and this time the smile was warm. "We will continue doing what we have always done," she said. "We will trade. We will cooperate. We will attend council meetings and be good neighbors. Our hidden fleet will return to its hiding places. We will smile and be kind and help others when they need it." She stood up and straightened her uniform. "Because that is who we choose to be. Not because we have to be, but because we want to be. The thought our kindness was weakness. They were wrong. Our kindness is the greatest strength we have. It takes far more courage to choose peace when you have the power to destroy." The meeting ended, and the ambassador walked out into the council station. Aliens of every species watched her pass. Some looked at her with new fear. Some looked at her with new respect. Some looked at her with something close to admiration. Humanity had kept its secret for 3,000 years. Now the secret was known, but nothing would really change. Humans would continue being helpful and friendly and kind. They would continue trading and cooperating and smiling. And deep in the darkness of space, hidden where no sensors could find them, their ships would continue waiting, watching, protecting the peace that humanity valued more than anything else in the universe. The cold smile had faded, the warm smile had returned. But nobody in the galaxy would ever forget what lived behind it.